I'm live. All right, folks. All right. I know it's been a while and I know I postponed this. Actually, I changed the name, postponed it. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, personal duties, when that kind of stuff or personal situations, it's just got to take priority from time to time. Anyways, but I've been anxiously waiting to talk about this stuff. This and a whole lot more. There's a lot of stuff we got to discuss. Don't let the title fool you. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, right? But definitely talking about the democracy. Yeah, we definitely want to talk about that. Not a big fan, not a big fan, but a lot of people are. So we're going to have to talk about it. But let me just check here before we get too heavy into things. Make sure everything's going good on all the live streams, and as you know, as you folks know, give time for people to trickle in. So it looks like we're going good over on Rumble. And by the way, if you haven't yet, could you please subscribe to me over on Rumble? Because yeah, YouTube, I don't know what the hell happened the last live stream that I had with Jacques Boudreau. Now, I know I'm beating a dead horse in terms of complaining about these kinds of things, but it's just the reality that I had what I think at the peak. I was either I can't remember now. It's been so long, but 130 something or 150 some people that were watching concurrently on the live stream, and then it turns out didn't even get that in total views for the last week and a half kind of thing. So I don't know why. Don't know how these things happen, right? I wish instead of knowing how to build engine stuff, I had a really started coding as a young man and learned all the intricacies of the computing world so I could kind of take a peek or look under the hood and see maybe if I could figure out what the hell is going on. Because yeah, some of that stuff is it's quite the kind of messes with your psychology a little bit there. And maybe that's the point. I don't fucking know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist and I never played one on TV. But, anyways, it is what it is, right? So, like I said, check. Yeah, okay, we're going good on the Rumble. On the Rumble. And did I believe? No, maybe not on Odyssey. I don't think it's on Odyssey, but I'm over on X. So let's check and see how X is going. Actually, had crazy as it sounds, had quite a few views on the last live stream over on X. And how that happens, I don't know. When typically it was what very small numbers typically over on X because people don't typically watch that stuff on X, at least for me or for a lot of people. I hear a lot of people talk about even when they watch other people, they watch it on different platforms, their live streams. But for some strange reason, it completely changed on the last. I'll take it right here, I guess. But yeah, so what's happening over there on X? Maybe I should just repost this to let folks know that yes, I am live. I am live on Canada Day weekend. We're we got lots to do. I was down to a car show today. We're going to be floating down the river tomorrow. Me and the fam. And which yeah, in case you're new to the stream, I'm or haven't watched my last few live streams yet, I'm going to be a grandfather. Yay for me, right? So that's pretty awesome. Really looking forward to that. Actually, here in a couple months, I'm going to even find out they're going to do the whole reveal thing in terms of the gender. So I'm even going to find out. And to me, it's neither here nor there. I'd be happy with either, right? As long as it's healthy. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to that. But in addition to that, like I said, we're going to be going down the river. Then Monday, of course, Monday we're going to save for the big fireworks. You got to do the fireworks, and not so much, to be wholly patriotic for this crazy, insane place we call Canada these days. A lot less things to be proud of in terms of that kind of stuff than you would think, at least in my eyes. But it is another excuse for the fam to get together and enjoy each other's time and comfort or company, right? So I'll take it once again. I'll take it however I can get it. But yeah, so yeah, I'm live. I think people are starting to see that now. Okay, that's a good deal. Good deal, right on. So yeah, we'll get over on. So what else? Oh, and YouTube. Oh, YouTube. Oh, YouTube. Oh, gosh darn it, YouTube. Gosh darn it. But anyways, how are you folks doing today? Make sure you don't be shy. Get in the chat there. If you got any questions, even obviously I interact a lot with the peeps that do watch my live streams. So if you got something to say, say it. I'm right here for you. Actually, I do see there's a comment on my live stream, a new comment. I've had a few of them actually on my last live stream with Jacques Boudreau. And it's, hi, Bennett. Sorry I missed your live. I'm getting caught up. Hugs from the West Coast. Oh, no problem, Wendy. No problem. Thank you for checking it out. Better late than ever. Another one from Tessie. Tessie A. Canada needs more libertarian content. Keep it up. COVID woke me up. Right on, Tessie A. Glad that COVID. That's one thing I will say with COVID, right? Yeah, it's definitely turned a lot of people into somewhat libertarians, at least, because they're wondering, well, people like myself that talk about these things, but if you don't experience tyranny for yourself, you're like, that's someone else's problem. But once you felt it, once you felt the cold, dead hand of the state, right? Yeah, yeah, it's quite, it can be quite chilling, and obviously is waking not just the fine folks here. Oh, and great discussion from Dankus Mimicus. Thank you, Dankus Mimicus. And yes, I enjoyed my discussion with Jacques, and hopefully we'll have another chat in the not too distant future. I'm actually looking forward to probably within, I think, next month in July. I'm going to be having a chat with my old friend Anthony Samroth from the formerly of the Scottish Libertarian Party. I don't believe he's doing that stuff now, but I see he travels all over the place, but he has another book coming out. I'll talk about that, of course. We'll discuss that with him and see what that's all about. He is also the guy that wrote the book that I have already in my collection, which is Universal Basic Income, For and Against. So he Stillman both sides of the arguments. And yeah, you read it. If you pick it up, I definitely recommend it, and pick it up and check it out and see which side of that one you fall on. You know where I fall on that, right? For sure. I knew. Yeah. Anything where you got to force that shit on the people, right? Forced wealth and income redistribution. Yeah, I'm kind of against that because, yeah, I actually uphold morality and ethics universally. I don't give certain people or certain demographics or all these things, right, the exception to that. No, if we're going to live amongst each other, in a social type of setting, no matter how big or small it is, at the community level or at the country level or the nation, yeah, we should have some ground rules, right? And that means that those ethics that we seemingly most people hold up and promote. I mean, even think about wokies. What are the woke people constantly promoting? They pretend that they care about people, right? Oh, they're bleeding heart, so they care. They want things. They want people to be treated fairly. Sounds like they want to put forth some pretense of morality or ethics. Problem is, just like most people in this world, in this society these days, is they don't want them universalized. They want to pick and choose who should be treated and respected as sovereign individuals. And even for those people that they choose, well, in certain areas, in other areas, not so much, right? So there's that. And of course, actually, I did want to mention my latest book that I just bought. As you folks know, I've been trying to build up the collection here. Some great content. Maybe at some point in time, rather than dealing with current affairs and stuff like that, I might get into maybe just doing a whole thing where I read a book and then do live streams about that particular book. I think that might be great because I love discussing ideas, and a lot of the books that I read are all about ideas, right? And philosophy, and this whole thing is, what do we do when we live amongst each other, right? How should that pan out, right? Democracy, once again, mob rule, not a huge fan. And from what I'm reading here on the back part of this book, from The Rights of Man, Thomas Paine, I think he had a few objections to just blatant democracy himself. Let me just read a little bit of this here. Whatever is my right as a man is also the right of another, and it becomes my duty to guarantee as well as to possess. Thomas Paine was one of the most influential and inspirational writers of his age. One of the founding fathers of America, John Adams, stated that without Paine's writing, in Common Sense, common sense. Wow, it's hard to believe that even existed at some point in time because it doesn't seem to these days, right? The sword of Washington would have been raised in vain. The Rights of Man was Paine's greatest and most popular work. In this response to the French Revolution, he wrote passionately about the concepts of democracy and equality and a liberty that should be based on man's natural rights of life, freedom of speech, and freedom of conscience. Yeah, and so far, so good. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. Anyways, let me just pop on over. Did I check? Oh, yeah, the YouTube here. That's what I was doing. Let me just check on that and make sure it's all going well. Over on YouTube. Well, it shows that I'm live. So that's good. Yeah. That's a damn good thing. I do see there's at least a couple comments there in the chat, and I'll get to them in just a minute. Like I say, I'm just checking everything out. Oot. That's my Canadian accent coming through here, right? Oh, and that's another thing too. We'll probably touch down on, like I said, I'm going to be all over the place with this stuff. We're probably going to touch down on some of this insane identity politics that those on the right, and their now newfound love for, the promotion of hate speech and the quashing of allegedly hate speech. It's my oh my oh my, how funny, how quick things change, right? When it's something that you perceive as being against you. See, that's the point. That's the test, right? The whole test of if you adhere to freedom of speech is, but would you do it for your enemies, right? For those you vehemently disagree with, or those you loathe yourself, because that is truly the test. And yeah, well, I mean, we've already known that people on the left have been failing that miserably for a long time. That's been in their face for a long time now. But we're seeing a lot of people who identify on the right who failing massively and miserably as well. And so this is, once again, where you need such thing as universality in your concepts and your ideas. And once again, if you care about freedom of speech, if you care about liberty, well, that's for all. Even if you find what they're saying disgusting, despicable, right? Or deplorable, I guess. Although the right hasn't used that particular word as of yet. And yeah, should we really? I might even touch down on the whole debate, right? Although I think that's been that horse just since last night or whatever. Or when was the debate? Yeah. Anyways, that horse has been beaten to a pulp. So I'm sure you folks might have got enough of a fill of people's perspective opinions. And what else is there to think about it, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and of course, that's the crazy part. The CNN set up this thing, right, where they're like, they could cut off each other's mics. There was no audience. Basically they made it so that Biden was going to have the best chance possible in this debate, right? And as it turns out, it actually made Trump, because he knew it would be fruitless to even try to say anything because they would just cut off his mic. Damn, Trump came across, for the first time I've ever watched Trump. This is the first time I swear that I've seen Trump come across like, damn, what? Very reserved, very, very professional in a debate type format, right? It's like, wow, you folks at CNN, see, even when they're trying to make Trump look bad, they inadvertently somehow make him look good. Now, I know some people are kind of getting all conspiratorial on that. Hey, whatever. It's nothing wrong with that. Thinking about things. I mean, wouldn't be the first time people thought of some crazy fucking things and used reverse psychology, or did some stupid shit to upend the apple cart, so to speak. But yeah, it really, I mean, you almost couldn't write a better script in terms of the establishment media and the establishment in particular doing something that's like, oh, this is how we get rid of Joe Biden. It's like, damn, that's working out really well. It is. It really is. I don't know. Once again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I've never really played one on TV. Matter of fact, never been on TV, so of course I haven't played on TV. But yeah, it does seem very, very, very strange, right? Anyways, let me just check on a couple of the chats there from the Liquid Gal. Liquid Gal, what's going on, Liquid Gal? Hello, Bennett. It's been a while since I've been on. Right on, right on. Well, thank you for joining me today. And like I say, I hope you enjoy your weekend too. If you're in Canada, I believe you are. But anyways, it's a long weekend. Yeah, we get a long weekend. And even in my trade, the construction trade of building roads and stuff, we're even getting the day off. So a lot of times we don't, because our season, you don't get to work full year. So usually a lot of times we end up working on holidays just because, you got to get shit done, right? Yeah, we people that actually build the world around you, it's got to get done regardless, right? Can't always take holidays. Although, there's plenty of times in those winter months where we get some time off, and I greatly appreciate that for one. But let's see what we got going on. Congrats for being a GPA. Damn, I wish I knew what that was. A G. Oh, now I get it. All right, that was pretty quick. All right, I'm coming around there. So grandparent, right on. Grandpa, right on. Well, thank you very much, Liquid Gal. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know who's looking forward to it more, me or the wife. She's pretty excited about it too, of course, because this is going to be our first foray into being grandparents. And wow, I just think off the top of my head, this is the chance, right? I mean, I think I've done a pretty damn good job. Of course, not perfect, but I think I've damn it done a really great job on my own boys. And now with a grandparent, they get to see how that all pans out. And if my son can reciprocate for his kid, and maybe I can help the grandchild in some way, right? Although, there's a lot of times I'd like to leave that in the hands of the actual parents, right? Not to be too much of intervening in things. I'm more of a hands-off kind of guy. Although when I see things that, right, you need to, I mean, you got to be a parent, right? It never really stops, but you have to know your boundaries too. That's difficult for a lot of parents, right? But you really, really do. You gotta learn your boundaries. You don't want to push things too far. You gotta just like when I was raising my kids, you gotta let them learn from their own experiences, right? Matter of fact, I know just for myself, that's some of the best examples of when I genuinely learned some really good lessons. Was it had to happen, right? And sure, sometimes you might have to go through a little bit of difficult time, or even a fairly difficult time, right? Or a really difficult time, but those all definitely contribute to that learning and experience, which sadly a lot of parents, and I would imagine a lot of grandparents, fail miserably at. And if we care about liberty, I mean, our kids and our grandkids, they are the future. And we don't want just to experience as much liberty for ourselves. If you're a caring and compassionate person, you want that expanded on for your kids, your grandkids. You want to pay that forward for each generation. And if we continue to do that and give them the proper knowledge, right? And those universal ethics that are so, so important, and teach them to think from first principles and to think critically about things. If you can arm them with that kind of knowledge and philosophy as the underpinning way to give them that knowledge, then wow, I mean, what a gift you've given. There's no tangible gift, right? Whether it's a baby shower or birthdays, there's no tangible gift that you could give that would be as important and as long lasting and as meaningful as teaching your successive generations the importance of philosophy and ethics, while at the same time, right? Don't leave them helpless. At the same time, pointing out there's some bad actors out there, right? Don't think that everyone thinks like you, right? You may be a good person. You might strive every day, or at least most of the times in your life, to be that good person. But don't be a fool. Don't be a sucker. There are some people that will take great advantage of that, right? So, and which is what I've always tried to do. It's always about balance for me, right? It's always about balance, and that, like I say, it seemed to have paid off really well for me in my particular personal situation, and I'm hoping that, like I say, my children will keep that going forward and pass on that torch of liberty, right? Keep it burning bright, baby, burning bright. But yeah, thanks again, there, Liquid Gal. It's a little humid and it's a little warm today, although it's not nearly as warm as it was last week. Today it's actually not as bad as it has been. So, and tomorrow actually for the floating down the river, I'm really hoping they're calling for some rain here in New Brunswick. Really hoping, and it's like I know it's like, yeah, we're on the river, so who cares if you get wet? Well, if the temperature's only going to be possibly in the high teens or 20 degrees or so, and then you're wet, and if you have a lot of wind, it can start to get a little cool because you're laying, you're not doing anything of strenuous, you're not doing much activity. But we'll just, like I say, we're just going to see how that goes, and go from there. Anyway, so what else? Yeah, so the whole Trump thing, yeah, and Biden. I'll talk about that, I guess, for a little bit before we get to the whole democracy subverted thing, the whole foreign election interference, which is, to me, it's just so striking, right? So striking. But anyways, yeah. So the whole Trump Biden debate, I mean, everyone's seeing the gaffes, right? That, who needs to replay that? And of course, the reaction that I think is most appropriate to that is the whole cringeworthiness, right? It's like, and that's kind of how I felt too. Actually, I started out watching it because I didn't want to give CNN, right, the view. So I was like, let me find out if there's someone that's streaming it that is at least not part of the establishment. So I come across Steven Crowder. It come up on the recommended. I think I'm subscribed to him anyways. But my God, let me just say, damn, there was just way too much talking during the debate. Like, I couldn't really hear. I couldn't take in what was actually being said by Trump or Biden or the moderators because Crowder was like busy doing like real-time fact checking. And it's like, I get it, but nah, that kind of stuff's just not for me. Just let me watch it and absorb it and Anyway, so I did end up watching, I think, oh, it was C-SPAN. I watched it on C-SPAN, right? C-SPAN or C-PAC? Sorry, I think it was C-PAC. One of those like, I don't know, was like, I don't know, publicly funded or whatever the heck it is. Anyways, I didn't watch it all in its entirety, but I did get the gist of how it kind of played out. And yeah, it was pretty wild. But once again, at the end of the day, it's just like I just imagine this stuff. It's like, are you not entertained? Nothing of real substance. But I mean, of course, if you're watching a presidential debate, I guess in this day and age, yeah, don't expect much, right? You're not going to get any, thinking from first principles or philosophical concepts or grand ideas, right? Nothing like that. Now you're just going to get red versus blue, right? And which tribe should I align with? Which ones promise me the most goods, or or the least amount of harm, I guess, right? The lesser of the evils is basically what we get. And, obviously Trump, in terms of the overwhelming majority of whatever subject matter or policies you're talking about, he's definitely vastly superior in a multitude of ways, but he's far from perfect. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure, right? But anyways, what else should we get to here? So yeah, I'll just kind of leave the whole Biden Trump debate because, like I say, I'm pretty sure you folks have seen or heard enough of that stuff. And as you know, I typically like to concern myself. I am Canadian after all. This is the plantation that I live on. So I predominantly, discuss things that how that pertain to actually Canadians. Imagine the concept, right? But yeah, that's what I tend to do. But this is just wild. This is just wild. And like when you talk about the deep state, I can't help but bring up, and a lot of people talk about this. They'll talk about bureaucrats, right? And middle management and all that. But what about the enforcers of the state, right? The cops or the spies and stuff. I mean, that is one area where, like, shit, man, these are the people who are not just a grave threat to your freedom, and they are on a regular basis, much, much more so than any, petty thief or low-life criminal, right? That's for sure. That's for sure. Because they're the people that keep these vile, corrupt, tyrannical rulers and the ruling class in power and protect them, right? The reason why the ruling class don't fear you or I is because, yeah, they got a whole army and basically almost like a paramilitary in terms of the police these days of protectors, right? And wow, I've seen some really fucking creepy, cringy areas where the police just, their love, their affinity for their masters, for their rulers, right? It's really disgusting. And yeah, I got another example to bring up here. Let me just bring this up. Let me bring this present. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, this is the chief, the main dude, right? The head honcho, the Big Kahuna of the RCMP in Kanakistan. And what's the headline here? Of course, it's under the politics section. Of course. RCMP chief says he hopes MPs don't name politicians accused of aiding foreign powers in the House. MPs enjoy parliamentary privilege in House of Commons, including freedom from arrest. Well, if that is that what you see? That's the thing. If you're a fan of democracy, is this what you think democracy is? I would just like to know. Maybe drop a comment down there or something in the chat and let me know. Is really democracy where you are going to be held to account, right? And have to basically tiptoe along and have, I don't know, it's like an obstacle course or a labyrinth in terms of trying to avoid the gazillion laws that they've written to fuck with you and to control you and to, harm your personal life, or a lot of things that are completely victimless, right? But boy, if you're part of the state, or if you're a statist at the top or the upper echelon, well, no, this RCMP chief, the main guy that's supposed to be all about law enforcement, he's all about law enforcement. I mean, fuck RCMP, right? But he's really hopeful that nobody names the names of people who are actually, working with foreign governments to circumvent our democracy. And once again, not that I'm a fan of democracy, but people pretend that that's what they want, right? I mean, millions and millions of Canadians vote under this bullshit pretense that my democracy. Well, how the fuck is your democracy working out when you got these idiots like the RCMP, right? Part of what I would suggest is the deep state, right? Because do you get to vote for these dipshits? No, of course you don't. They're appointed, right? So no, you don't have no say in that matter. And whether it's a liberal or a conservative or an NDipper or a Green Party, whoever the fuck it is, you're still going to end up with this vile piece of shit, or someone like, remember before, Brenda Lucky, as bad, if not worse. I mean, to me, it's potato when it comes to who they put in these positions, because it seems like every single one of them, their sole job is to be the literal bootlickers of politicians and the protectors of the ruling class, right? I mean, come on. Not my words. It's right here from CBC News. The guy is literally saying it. This is reported by Catherine Tunney, June 23rd, 2024. But I mean, yeah, so he hopes that the MPs don't get named, man. Like, really? Even though they've been accused of basically, some of the most heinous crimes that are against democracy. But no, don't name them. No. I suppose when you got a whole shitload of skeletons in your own closet, you're like, yeah, I don't open up that door. Hey, shh, mom's the word. Just don't say nothing back about me either, right? Let's kind of keep this in the status fam, right? Damn, man. Damn. The head of the RCMP says he's uneasy with the idea that politicians could use their parliamentary privilege to name colleagues accused of aiding foreign powers. Earlier this month, the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, NSI COP, a cross-party committee of MPs and senators with top security clearances, released a heavily redacted document alleging, based on intelligence reports that some parliamentarians have been semi-witting or witting, right, participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in Canadian politics. Yet, once again, this just takes me back to the whole Trump thing, right? The Russiagate, right? The establishment media. Look how hell-bent they were. And that turned out to be absolute fucking bullshit. But they were so predisposed and concerned. That Trump, he was, subverted democracy, right? And they're even claiming now, right, that he's going to, with Susie, if he wins the election, he's going to be a tyrant from day one, dictatorship from day one, right? Well, this is the thing. Our own fucking goddamn spies literally said that, actually, forget about what's happened down south. Actually, there's real subversion of our democracy happened in our own fucking country. And yet, the main guy in law enforcement is like, well, yeah, but, we don't want to know who it is. Really? Mm-hmm. That seems a bit odd, right? A little odd. Okay, where are we at here? The RCMP has said anyone who leaks classified intelligence could be charged under Canada's secret law. So once again, just like with Snowden, right? If someone whistleblowers or Julian Assange, and yeah, how great is it that Julian Assange is free and living back home in Australia? Although I gotta say, fuck, damn, after the whole COVID regime, it's a whole lot better. Well, I would imagine at least he's with those he loves and care about. So that's a good thing. But yeah, but yeah. So think about it. What are the law enforcement or these spies? What are they predisposed and concerned about? Hey, just don't tell our secrets. Just don't tell what's going on. We don't want anyone to peek behind the veil or the big curtain, right? That's literally, and I mean, that's my democracy, folks. That's my democracy. And CBC, Catherine Tunney, will write this unironically, right? Unfucking believable. But anyways, yeah, the Liberal government has still face pressure from the Conservatives and others to release the names of those cited in the report on the floor of the House of Commons, where MPs enjoy parliamentary privilege, protecting them from arrest. First of all, how the fuck is it that anyone can be protected from, like, what is parliamentary? Like, once again, just mysticism, because I said so. We can't get arrested because we have parliamentary privilege. Oh, there's that privilege, right? Like I said, folks, when you hear these fucking idiots, part of the establishment, calling people privileged, that white privilege and shit, like I've said, that's called projecting. You got to understand. If you understand just a little bit of psychology, right? Yeah, that's projecting. And hell, they do a lot of projecting. So pay attention. Listen to what, like I said, People say, why do you watch CBC? Why do you listen to these fools? Because, yeah, they're projecting, and you can learn a lot from these inept idiots and what they say if you know how to read between the lines. It's not a scenario that RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhem wants to think about. I'm inclined to say that would be a challenge for us. If it was out in the public domain, it'd be different because you're disclosing top secret information, he said in an interview with Rosemary Brighton Live. Let's hope we don't have to cross that road. Yeah. Oh, really? Really? Like I say, what a pathetic piece of shit this guy is. What a absolutely terrible, terrible human being. Yeah, I'm with Dave here. Order followers are immoral people, and 100%, 100%. I mean, think about the countless examples of this, right? The countless examples. I mean, you would think, I mean, I know it's been a while, what, 80 or 70 years, but you would think after the Nuremberg trial, people would be like, no, no, no. I mean, it was for a short time. Now, you can't use this excuse just following orders, right? When you're being that vile or evil or subjugating people so harshly or putting bullets in the back of their head or putting them in gas chambers or imprison them or, the myriad of things that were done to people for daring to, like, try to be free or just because of their collective identity, right? So we're all familiar with collective guilt and punishment. But yeah, it's just insane that that there's just so much morality that takes place, and yet, when a police falls, we're supposed to all just bow our head, give a moment of silence, and just show our utmost respect for what? For what? No, I don't fucking nobody. I don't give a fuck. You put a badge and a gun. I don't give a shit who you. I don't care what your little name tag or your label that they give you, right? Don't, or your position or your rank. Don't give a shit about any of that. Morality is universal. If you go against that universal morality, then yes, I have absolutely no respect for you. Right? Unapologetically at that. I mean, of course, we all make mistakes. We're all fallible. But you're not hearing any of these people come out and say, oh, I really did fucking some bad shit. Sorry about that. No, you're not hearing any of that. Matter of fact, most of these people, sorry is a 4-letter word to them. Right? And they claim to be the holiest and the most religious. No, they just can't do it. They'll do anything but apologize. Anyways, yeah, the bane of humanity. No one should have any respect for them. And I don't, Dave. I don't at all. Because once again, you can point to the Trudeaus of the world. You can point to all kinds of politicians and those who represent the ruling class. But at the end of the day, what's keeping them in power, what keeps them so bold that they can do what they're doing is the fact that they have a whole gang of mindless order followers that'll do their biddings for a paycheck. Oh, your swear jar is going to be full today. Yes, sorry about that. But oh well, it is what it is, right? I'm a little bit animated because like I said, it's been a while, a lot of crazy stuff taking place. And once again, I try to stay on the positive side of things. I'm typically white-pilled. And believe me, even when I ramble on and get a little harsh and maybe throw a buttload of profanities out, it's not going to stick with me. Like I say, I'm always going to remain as positive as possible because I recognize I have my own personal situation that's in complete contrast to the greater world, the greater society. But I also remember and got to take into account those things do affect us. Maybe not every day, all day, but they do have a tremendous effect on our life. And it's really important for us, those of us who are standing in full defense of liberty, to be just as persistent. That's why I continue to do what I do. I see my opponents are very persistent in promoting their tyranny and trying to bring that shit out in spades and impose it on the rest of us. But yes, once again, liberty requires that you have to be vigilant in your defense of liberty. And in this world where we have the ability to, at least for now, right? At least for now, to speak openly about these things, I'm going to continue to do so. And I'm thanking you folks for the fact that you're willing to do so as well, because we are, we're really all that there is to push back against tyranny. We are that small group. We're the ones that they fear most. That's why we're the ones that are suppressed and silenced, right? I mean, look at the people who are out there right now, right? Whether it's the right wingers or the left wingers, there's no shortage of views and interactions and interviews. mean, they've taken center stage, and the establishment, even though they might disagree with them, as long as they're within that Overton window of keeping the illusion of the state alive, oh, they'll allow a lot of vigorous debate, right? I mean, look, Trump and Biden, look. But once again, as long as you keep teaching the people to be conformist, to have that mindset where you believe that you need or require rulers, right? They'll allow a lot of dissent amongst each other. But what they won't allow, and I mean, like, I am proof right here and right now. I am proof. I mean, I've gone from like to the point where, like I say, almost into obscurity, but I continue on. I mean, think about Stefan Molyneux, right? The man who had the most popular philosophical show and podcast in the world. And he may very well still have, but I assure you, after being canceled by YouTube and others, his audience has been greatly diminished. And why? Because once again, people don't genuinely want to hear the truth, right? No, they want to be entertained, right? Which is why when you look out there, it's not just, right wingers versus left wingers. It's like sitting down and watch a hockey game, but in the political realm, right? Or a baseball or a football game. But once again, they'll do anything possible. And the reason why they won't specifically target someone like myself, well, first of all, they don't really have fucking much to throw at me. That's for damn sure. But they'd be scared to death of actually shining the light on me in any way. Because once again, if people actually heard the kind of ideas and the things that I talk about and the reasonable, I consider, and well-reasoned and logical stance that I take and ethically consistent stance that I take on all these things, right? People might actually start paying attention. And that would be the one thing that the establishment, in particular in this country, greatly fear. They don't want me to get any kind of attention because they're scared to death of the power of the ideas, of the power of liberty. And Canada, we don't have that background like Americans. So most Canadians, they wouldn't know liberty if it fucking knocked them over the side of the head. And that is just the absolute truth, folks. And I mean, I've been around a lot of people. As you know, I talk to everybody. Anyone I come in contact or anyone that's receptive in any way, I'll sit and talk about the kind of stuff that, that matters to me. And yeah, like that's a big fear. But of course, it's always small in number. But I will tell you, the ones who I do get a chance to talk to and interact with in my personal life, in my actual personal life, yes, it takes a little bit of time. It takes some persistence, but eventually, if they're reasonable in any way, shape, or form, or have any common sense, they eventually come around. And why not? Right? Why not? It makes sense that yes, when you listen to people who are consistent, right, in their message, in their ideas, and in their concepts, and their ideas, and their principles, and their ethics. I mean, once again, because obviously people care about ethics. Right? There's a reason why the woke agenda, or even government, even the very pretense of government, we're here to protect you from the bad people. So even government claims in some way, some form or fashion to be benevolent, right? So people obviously, and people like voting for the government. So people obviously like the pretense of morality, of ethics. Yet, once again, there's very, very few of us out here that actually are consistent, right? Not once again, I mean in terms of the ideas we promote. I'll admit myself that I'm fallible and I've made mistakes in the past. So I'm not perfect by any stretch. Of course not. But I'll also be the first one to apologize. And the first thing I do after I make a mistake is try to correct it. And if I can't correct it, well, I'll try to make up for it, right? In some way. But yeah, I seem like a very rare and dying breed in comparison to contrast so many of my peers. But I keep trying because once again, I see the examples where it actually works out. It actually works, right? And of course, it wasn't just me. Yes, COVID. Yes, the Emergencies Act. All that, the invocation of such, all that definitely helped bring more people over to my side and starting to think about these more critically. But why was that? Because once again, it's just human nature that yes, they might not be overly concerned or predisposed to worry about those kind of things right up until it happens to them. Then it does. But the whole point of this, of knowing these things, is to greatly minimize these impacts or to prevent them as many of these things as humanly possible, be being wise enough to not give people the pretense of being a ruler over you, where they have some legitimacy in some way to do the kind of crazy, nefarious things that they do, such as, right, subvert democracy and basically get away with it. That's That's fucking insane. Once again, let me parse this again. Not a fan of democracy, but millions of Canadians are. And millions of Canadians should be greatly and rightfully outraged at the fact of what is taking place in terms of this, foreign interference, and not just the foreign interference. I mean, you folks know, you just look through all my live streams or my videos, what was it, up to 1,400 of them, and you'll see the countless examples where government has been greatly infringing on and denying our rights and pretending that we don't even have them, right? Anyways, let me just read a few more comments. No, I love it, man. Ron Ross. Okay, right on, Dave. Good, because I remember back in the day, I had some people, they were some fine people, as Trump would say. That's another thing, the lies of all that shit. But anyways, there were some fine people. I'm sure they were good people back in the day, more than likely from the Christian community. I love me some Christians. I mean, I consider myself a Christian myself. But yeah, like people will just, like, they would even say, I'm not going to watch your content because you swear. So I said some words like, have you ever talked to God? Like, no, seriously, I don't like people like to pretend, right? But be honest with yourself. Did you actually talk to God? Did God actually tell you that fuck or shit, right? You won't find those words out even in the Bible, right? So, but did he really tell you that if Bennett uses these words, even if he's talking about great things and great ideas and being, promoting universality in terms of his ethics, but no, you better not listen to him if he swears, if he says some words that somebody else determined are bad, right? It's just so crazy. But I mean, once again, to each their own in some way, and their loss as well, right? Their loss. Because, yeah, they'll probably find some people that don't swear, but maybe not so consistent in their ideas, or maybe just playing that tribal politics thing where it's us versus them. Well, not that I disagree with the fact that it's us versus them, but it's not left versus right. It's not conservative versus liberal or NDP, or no, the us versus them properly should be those who have tyrannical tendencies, who want to control other people, dominate them, plunder them, destroy their economic prosperity, right? Those who have a more live, let live, or liberty oriented mindset and way of living and way of thinking. That's really the us versus them that should matter most. Swearing is a healthy way of venting. Well, I agree, right? Sure as hell beat some other alternative ways of venting. Yeah, I agree with you there, GTO Mama. Thank you very much for joining the stream, GTO Mama. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you folks there. You help me right along as I go through these things, and I'm sure you folks are kind of feeling it too, right? That's the thing. You get frustrated from time to time. And if you don't, right? If you don't get frustrated and you don't swear because, you feel that emotional angst when such crazy things are happening, it's like, well, damn, are you a sociopath? To be honest with you, those are the people that I don't trust, people that, lack or never display emotions, right? I find it creepy. And I get it. For men, it can be, oh, well, you got to be stoic. Yes, certain times. And yes, and when I deem it's necessary or it's appropriate, of course I put on a stoic face. Who the hell doesn't, right? I mean, I'm a human like everyone else. But there are a whole lot of other times where no, you just got to let people know how you feel, right? But make sure it ain't just raw based emotion or feels for the sake of feels. No, it has to be grounded in something. And once again, mine is always and will always and forever be grounded in the frustration and the fact that we live in the age of information. We live in great abundance of so many things. Like none of us are well, I shouldn't say none of us, but most of us, get by, and do fairly well in terms of the tangible things that we can consume and things. But we're so starving of actual freedom and liberty and critical thinking and respect of each other's sovereignty. That's an area where we're starving, we're emaciated, right? And that really, really frustrates me. I get hangry about that stuff. I really do. And it pisses me off because I just can't help but think. I think about that concept of the alien coming down, right? But in mine is like, wait a minute. So you guys have access to all the breadth of all human knowledge through history. Some of the greatest philosophers, including Stefan Molyneux, right? I'll just point out once again. and all this stuff that could really help you so much to expand on and get into this enlightenment era 2.0, which is what I think. I think we are kind of going through it, but we need more and more beeps, right? Because that's the thing. Have you ever watched the Tiny Dot video from Lark and Rose? You get enough people that are thinking critically about these things, you don't even have to lift a finger and do anything. The ruling class and their mindless order followers will just tuck tail and run and go hide or stick their, stick their head in the sand once again, or do something other than, keep this kind of tyranny humming along. They will have no choice but to back down and back away from their constant encroaching on your liberty. If all you have to do, once again, don't have to bite anyone, but just show your teeth. Just show your teeth a little bit, right? And yes, it has to happen in a substantial enough numbers where they recognize that it's just not worth it. And why? Because they'll rationalize their own self-preservation under that situation or scenario. And we're not there yet, but hopefully we're creeping up a little bit closer, and hopefully it's something that will continue to go in that direction. Most people don't know that Jesus Christ's middle name is fucking right. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, you know what? That could very well be true because I've sure used that kind of wording in the past. But yeah, good one, Dave. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Swear words are in the Webster's dictionary. Yeah, for sure. Well, I haven't really checked that out, but yeah, I don't doubt that for a minute. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. So true. So true. And that's the worst part of it is it's, you can think of so many times in history, like, after the Gutenberg press, it was easier, but it still wasn't that prevalent and that simple to have access to all this knowledge. But once again, in the digital age of information where you can duplicate this kind of knowledge and transmit it in real time at the speed of light, which is what, 186,000 miles per second? Like, come on. I mean, come on, right? Come on. Why? Well, because there's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of people out there trying desperately to keep this kind of knowledge or information away from those that could really, really, use it, right? Right, to help us to better things, to better themselves, to better their own little personal situations, and expand that out to the community level, right? To just keep expanding that out. That's what needs to take place. But once again, the gatekeepers, those who want to do bad things, right? They don't want this kind of knowledge, this kind of information. They don't want these kinds of ideas to be understood, right? They want to keep us all divided and pissed off at each other for the most ridiculous fucking things, especially when you're talking about skin color or other immutable characteristics that there's not a damn thing you can do about it. But yeah, they want you to keep, man versus woman, the rainbow LGBT community against straights, right? Israel, Jewish people versus Palestinians. And that's another thing. Like, even in the Bible and stuff, and I've read the Bible, and I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I mean, I love people for what they bring to the table at the individual level, but to me, it's like, no, there is none of this thing. So let's just get this idea once and for all that there's anyone that are just the chosen people or that get to escape, the kind of things everyone else has to be subjected to, or that, like I say, when I hear the right wingers talk about their defense of Israel or Jewish people, it's like, yeah, of course you want to defend innocent people, right? But make no mistake, whether they're Jewish or Palestinian or Canadian or American or wherever the hell they come from, or whatever state they claim to be a subject to, right? Yeah, there's bad people in every group. And not even that they're bad all the time, although there are evil people too. So that's the thing. There's good, bad, and then there's fucking evil, right? Because a lot of people, all of us can be good and bad, depending on, like, none of us are perfect. So, and that's the Christian teaching I learned about, right? Is yes, we're all fallible. That's the whole thing with sinning, right? But we can seek redemption in some way and try not to sin and learn from our sins of our past and do better. But no, there's no pretense that there's any group, any collective that gets to escape accountability or, being subjected to moral and ethical underpinnings as well, right? I don't give a fuck. If you're Jewish, I don't give a shit. If you're part of the Israeli government and you're killing innocent people, I don't give a fuck what your excuse is, right? No, Just like if you're anyone else, a Palestinian, Hamas, like I say, Canadian, no, you're fucking up, and stop using the excuse of my collective as the pretense of why it should be okay, or the victim cult, right? I mean, think about how many times we hear the woke and the lefties talk about the victim cult. Oh, my skin color. Oh, my what's between my legs, right? Oh, my sexual preference or whatever. Who I like to screw, because really that's what you're talking about at the end of the day, right? What's the difference between a lesbian, a gay, a bisexual, or a trans? Is typically when you really get down to it at the end of the day, it's who they like to fuck. And like, who the fuck do when you're talking about like sexual preferences, who you like to stick your whatever in or do your thing sexually with? How the hell do these people get some kind of a privilege or exception to the rule or the norm or the ethics, right? Just like with the whole pride shit. No, I wouldn't want to see a bunch of straight people. I would think it was vile and despicable if I seen straight people, strippers, male or female. I don't give a fuck. If I seen a bunch of strippers getting stripped down to naked or down to their skivvies or having their package hanging all out around small children, or even the fucking parents that bring their children to these things, what the hell is wrong with you? Is there no other form of entertainment or anything you can't take your child to other than going to watch a bunch of fucking, people showing their cocks or their vages or their titties or their asses? Really? That's what you want to teach your kids? Like I say, so to me, see, that's what being universal is all about. Is I don't give nobody an exception to this shit, right? And if you choose to do that stuff, then just don't come off to me and claim that you're the one that's taking some moral high ground. No, you most certainly are not, and I'll point it out anytime I get the chance, which I have and which I will continue to do. Okay, what do we get here? Critical thinking is now considered hate speech. I know that's the other thing, unless you're a Trudeau, right? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, think about the gaslighting from that alone. Great point, GTO Mama. Think about the gaslighting of fucking Trudeau. That's why you just got to think this guy's a sociopath. And is he fucking? I would love to just say he's stupid and inept. I mean, I can't give the guy that. I just got to think he's a fucking sociopath and a fucking goddamn habitual liar. And projector, like, holy fuck, he projects onto everyone else. Yeah, hate speech. I mean, who was more hateful, through the whole COVID ordeal and the way he talked about and treated the unvaccinated? Trudeau is the biggest lying hypocrite piece of shit, and I don't give a fuck who you are. If you like or respect a man like that in any way, then you're a piece of shit yourself, right? And more people need to say that, and not because he's not giving you more goodies or not because he's taking the wrong stance on Israel. I mean, there's a million reasons before we ever got to this fucking point why you should think that Trudeau is the biggest piece of shit in this country, or at least one of the biggest piece of shit. Lying, hypocrite, deviant. Yeah, I mean, I got lots of adjectives and names I could add to that. But yeah, no, come on. Like I say, let's try to hold people to a much, much higher standard and not to allow them to play these fucking games of gaslighting where, they call people like myself. I mean, I've probably been accused by these idiots of hate speech for daring to what? Speak the truth, right? As you folks know, none of my shit is scripted. Probably would come across a lot more professional. I might even get a bigger audience if I had scripts and all these points. I mean, every once in a while I'll do like a point by if I'm doing like a debate with someone or something, right? Or a subject matter that I really, really go deep into. But for the most part, I think out loud. And what it is I've trained my brain to think about first principles and morality as the basis, as the foundation for no matter what the subject matter is I talk about. Does it meet the threshold that I've built up, and is it being consistent in its stance? Like, so if you're pretending that you care about hate speech, you don't want people to say hate, well then wait a minute. Fuck Trudeau, I've heard you use an awful lot of hateful language. And that's the other thing too with Trudeau. He'll apologize for shit that he never had anything to do with, like sins of the past, right? But yet, will he ever fucking actually apologize for the shit that he's actually done? Oh, no. Well, of course it's easy to apologize for shit that you never had anything to do with under some pretense of virtue signaling to a bunch of dumbed down fucking people that are stupid enough to believe you. And yes, if you believe Trudeau at this point in time, after all these years, You've had your head. No, you actually I can't even give you the excuse you've had your head buried in the sand, because if you know about Trudeau, then you've at least popped it up somewhere, right? At least for a little while. And the guy has been so fucking, the only thing he has been consistent at is being a lying piece of shit, hypocrite, tyrant, petty tyrant. Not a very good tyrant, thank goodness, right? But he's a fucking petty tyrant. If he could be a better tyrant, oh, he would, but he just can't. He's that inept, thankfully, right? But yeah, great point, GTO Mama. Great point. Hate speech. What the fuck does that even mean? Hate speech, right? Such a, that's one thing. And that's one thing. Like I say, I got mad respect for the Americans and their constitution. Once again, not that I need some rulers that wrote stuff down on parchment, or I can understand ethics without any of that. But yeah, at least they were wise enough to write down, and the Supreme Court and other human beings since, and have at least been wise enough and prudent enough to say, yeah, there's no such thing as hate speech here. Yeah, we're not playing that fucking game. And good for them. Good on them. Because Americans, I mean, look at what that's why Americans get to say this, the kind of stuff that they say, and you know, whether you like it or not, man, it's a great thing to see that they have the freedom to say it. Even the people I loathe and can't stand, I'm happy that they have the freedom to say it, and they're willing to say it. I'd like to know what the fuck the enemies. I'd like to know what people want to fucking rule over me, or dominate over me. Yeah, I'd like to hear what they've got to say. Yeah, and the kind of shit they promote. I'm really, really happy about the freedom of speech, so that I can learn and hear what these people are, the vile things they're trying to say, and the despicable things that they would like to impose on me, and those I care about and those I love. Right? Yeah, Trudeau called anyone unvaccinated racist, misogynist. I fail to see the connection, yet that is okay. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, racist, right? What could it possibly, other than, once again, they look to appeal to those knuckle draggers that just will fall for the us versus them. And sadly and unfortunately, and we seen it, folks, we seen it was in our face. Damn, there's a lot of those in Canada. Look at how quickly they were willing to jump on the bandwagon. And I experienced it. I'm sure you did as well. It wasn't just on the internet. I experienced it in my own real personal life. How quickly people will turn on a dime without even giving it any second thought on people that's like, did I do something to you? Nope. But, you know, my ruler, my leader, my thought leader told me I'm supposed to hate you. Therefore, I hate you, right? Once again, not saying that anyone shouldn't be able, if you want to hate me, you go right ahead. But the fact that you're willing to hate me based on the whims of some tyrant, that, trust me, if you just knew how vile these people are, yeah, you'd be like, oh no, if that ain't the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is, right? Yeah, exactly. Trying to eliminate individuals. That's what it's all about. Collective. They're trying to get us right down to humans. They're trying to get at that, what is the amygdala part of your brain, right? That animal instinct of in group versus out group, of trying to conform, to be part of the group, right? That's just normal for human beings. And that's what the ruling class, that's why they, like I say, they use psychology. They use our mentality. They use how we've naturally evolved against us to pit us against each other, and to keep them like rolling right along smooth as ever in their upper echelons of power and control, and living in all high and mighty at our expense. And the reason why they get to do that is because, yes, they've convinced a lot of people, and they taught them from very, very young ages, right, about the divide and the other, and teaching people to not even understand what does it mean to be a free human being. I mean, I've said this many times before, but the fact that most people become adults and don't even know what the hell it means to be a free human being, you know, like, that's crazy, especially once again in the age of information. The fact that you can get to your adult, like at least 18 years of life, and a lot of people will go through their entire fucking lives and never know that. Like, what a sad representation of humanity to know that that's a reality for so many people. It really is truly sad. Anyways, I'm going to get to reading a little bit more here. Oh, I just wanted to bring this up. Kind of gets me right here. So let me just bring this up before I continue on. It's an absolute shame. And he's one of the good guys, as far as I know, as far as everything I've ever heard about the man. And I follow him on the X and stuff. And to me, he's just the younger, more vibrant Ron Paul, the younger Dr. No, who takes the most principled stance against such craziness and all the stuff that takes place down there in Washington. But yeah, my heart goes out, and his wife is in, and his family, his wife, and Thomas Massey are all in my prayers today, and will be for the next little while for this fact that yeah, his wife Rhonda died at 51. I mean, the fact that like I'm pretty close in age to Thomas Massey, and his wife Rhonda 51. My wife's going to be turning 50. She wouldn't want me to say that on the air, but sorry, babe. I just it's just a number, babe. It's just a babe. Anyways, and yesterday my high school sweetheart, the love of my life for over 35 years, the loving mother of our 4 children, the smartest, kindest woman I ever knew, my beautiful and wise queen forever, Rhonda, went to heaven. And I mean, like I say, wow, gets me right here, because as you folks know, I've been with my wife for 34 years, 1 year shy of this, and man, I can't even imagine what the Massey family and Thomas Massey himself is going through. It's got to be rough. But I will say this. I will just say this is, his faith in God, and having that Christian mentality, and the perception of his wife being in heaven definitely helps. Definitely helps for sure, no doubt. And I believe it is the property remedy for when you are crushed in such a way, and what's going to keep him going on and keeping strong, and feeling that he still has a connection in some way to his wife, right? So yeah, once again, I don't even really have to read the article, but it's just, yeah, it was a sad thing to hear. It was a very sad thing to hear that his wife died. And once again, my condolences and my heartfelt prayers will definitely be going out to the Massey family. So yeah, let me just bring it over here, and we'll just kind of, I know it's going to be a kind of a strange switch up there, but I just wanted to get that out and mention there, because yeah, it's a sad day for those fine folks. But he's also an inspiration, Thomas Massey, and the kind of things that he does, and stands up even when it's just him against the rest of them, right? He's steadfast in his principles, just like Ron Paul, and unapologetically so, right? And which is just, I greatly admire men of courage like that. And that's what inspires me to try to do and act and be the same, right? It's humid in here. My cup is sticking to my coaster. Anyways, so let me get to, and yes, let's just deal back to the interference, right? So here we go. So not only did the RCMP, oh no, you don't want to mention any names, don't want to name names, right? Don't want to let Canadians know who's fucking around with their democracy or who's trying to subvert it, right? And wittingly go along with foreign actors from foreign states such as China or India, right? No. And trust me, yeah, it's a state thing. It has nothing to do with whether you're a Chinese person or an Indian person. It's state versus state. It's statecraft. It's authoritarians, because that's what it is to be a statist, right? So I got no love lost for any of them. Government won't commit to releasing names of MPs who allegedly conspired with foreign actors. Well, imagine that. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, that woman just fucking annoys the shit out of me so bad too. I don't know what it is with her. Well, yeah, I do. It's her voice. It's her mannerism. It's her, once again, seemingly sociopathic tendencies, her willingness to fucking lie so blatantly so many times. And with a smile. It's just, I just find that shit so vile. But anyways, says Liberals will conduct an internal follow-up on meddling claims. Yeah, just like the cops, right? We'll investigate ourselves, and guess what? Yeah, nothing wrong here, nothing bad. When everything is all good, right? It's all good. Let's just sweep that under the rug. So yeah, you know what to expect from that, right? This was reported by John Paul Tasker, June 4th, 2024. Senior cabinet ministers would say Tuesday, if the government is prepared to release the names of parliamentarians who are alleged to have conspired with foreign governments and to have consciously shared sensitive information with their agents, conduct that one expert says could amount to treason. Conduct that one expert says could amount to treason. And this constant use of the word fucking expert, like, God, it just annoys the shit out of me, because if all the government people that they refer to are experts, that is literally an excuse. That's just rhetoric to convince you that, oh, I better listen to what they're saying because they're much more superior than I am. Don't fall for it, folks. Don't fall for it. I mean, think about it. Think about the experts, the countless experts, the establishment media and the establishment hacks in the ruling class rolled out on stage or in front of the cameras to tell us all the bullshit about COVID and the vaccines that proved to be absolute lies, bullshit, and farcical in nature. Or how about all the experts that didn't see the financial crisis coming when actual libertarians and Austrian economists such as Peter Schiff saw it coming from a fucking mile away? But so who's the real experts, right? Or how about, when people like myself and others who understand actual economics and in particular classical economics and Austrian economics and human incentive and just how humans function, when we were saying, and how the economy actually works in terms of central banks, fiat money, and all that shit. So when we were saying, oh, inflation is coming, the government printed or bought up bonds. Like, let's use the proper words. The central bank magically created money out of thin air to buy government bonds, which same shit, different pile, to the tunes of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions just in our country alone. And we were like, yeah, that's going to cause some inflation there. Better make sure you recognize that stuff. And the fact there was all these businesses that were closed down. And then subsequent to that, some of them would be trying to grow back again. So inflation was something that you could see if you understood proper economics. You could see it coming. But think about all the experts, including the governor of the Bank of Canada. These people that are claimed to be the experts, but none of them seeing it coming. Then when it was on their front doorstep going, hey, I'm here, they're like, oh, okay, inflation is here, but oh, don't worry, it's only transitory. It's only going to be like a little blip on the radar. Meanwhile, what, year and a half, whatever later, still there, isn't it? You been to the grocery store lately, right? You paying rent? Try to get in a mortgage, right? Try looking at what houses cost. Yeah. Those are things that actually where the inflation actually matters. This fucking pretense that, oh, it's only 2.9% for me. Okay, first of all, let me just point that out in addition to all the other things that I just mentioned, right? This is the problem with CPI and the way they measure inflation. I mean, my property taxes went up 10%, or no, 12% in 1 year, right? That's much more than 4% or 3%, and even higher than the highest time part of it when it was like 8 or 9%, or that's what they were pretending. Or how about here in New Brunswick? And I'm sure it's the same across the country. And yeah, we haven't even gotten to the point where all these electric cars are on the road, where everybody's, all having to run electric cars. The government forces you into it, puts a gun to your proverbial head and says, oh, you got to buy an electric car. You can't buy, gas or anything. But yeah, how about power in New Brunswick? If you're from New Brunswick, yeah, this year, what is it that, well, I guess they still got to take it to the Energy Utilities Board. But yeah, Hydro NB is looking to bump up the rates for residential homes almost 10% this year and another 10% next year. Now, have you been getting raises in the 10 to 12% or, and think about the groceries, some of that stuff, or housing costs which are going up like, year over year up to like 30, 40%. Are you getting a raise that's even anywhere remotely keeping up with that kind of shit? Because that's the inflation that really affects you, right? You can hold off on buying another fucking TV from Walmart that's might have got cheaper this year, right? Or a cell phone that might have got a little bit cheaper compared to last year, or a tablet, or lots of electronic devices. But the things that really matter, like the energy, the roof over your head, your food in your belly, all that stuff that really matters, the electricity when you turn it on that keeps the heat on, right? All that shit that really matters, much, much, much higher than any pretense of 3% or 2.9 or 2. Yeah, once you strip out the shit that don't really matter, that's the thing. They try to strip out the shit that does matter to make it skew lower, right? Which is how they come up with these ridiculous numbers, 2.7, 2.9. But no, how about we reverse that? How about we flip the script and, strip out the shit that doesn't fucking matter, right? And think about the things that you actually require to sustain yourself. Yeah, a a lot higher. But once again, the only people that watch me or others like myself or talk to people like yourself, they're the only people in this country that even have a fucking clue about this stuff. The rest of the dumbed down society who got all these diplomas, right, coming out of colleges and universities, thinking they're higher, thinking their shit don't stink, thinking they're holier than thou, or just part of the upper echelons of society, are dumb as fucking nails. They're like well-trained seals. They've been taught one thing. They know how to go and bounce a fucking ball on their head. But yet they have no clue about the real world around them at all. Right? They don't know what it means to be free, and they sure shit don't know what it is to be economically enslaved by a very corrupt ruling class who uses inflation as a stealth tax to rob and plunder us relentlessly, folks. Anyways, I know once again, I told you I'm going to go off on all kinds of tirades today because I've had some, it's built up and it's nice. It's good to get it. As was a GTO mama that said, I'm venting, baby. I'm venting and I'm getting it out. And it feels good. Feels good. I'll feel even better after it's all said and done, right? But don't worry, there'll be lots more. Right? It's not like I'm going to be done, right? The frustrations never relent. They continue on. And I expect that that's going to be the way for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. Don't worry about that. There'll always be, for this foreseeable future, lots and lots of this insanity to discuss and talk about. But yeah, so anyways, do I really need to read any more of that? No. Basically, Freeland is on board with the RCMP. Yeah, we don't want anyone to know, right? And then they keep using this excuse like we're the one leader. Once again, not that I'm a super big fan of Pierre Poilievre, although I will admit he says some great things. But yeah, of course, because he's not in power, right? So, but anyways, I don't have a real lot of high hopes. I mean, hey, hopefully he proves me wrong. It'd be I'd love for him to prove me wrong and for him to be like turn into like the Ron Paul of the North or the Thomas Massey of the North, right? And rule like that, right? Not that I want a ruler, but if the ruler's going to say, hey, I'm going to rule it, is to rule you less and to give you more freedoms. Like, okay, I'm not a big fan of rulers, but hey, if this ruler wants to give me more freedoms and stop fucking with me as much as the rest of them, I'm good with that, right? I'm good with that kind of lesser evil because not like you're still going to get it anyways, right? So I kind of get that argument. But yeah, the one guy that the media, the hacks and the established media are targeting in terms of this whole, classified stuff. Oh, look, Pierre Poilievre, he won't do it. But we all know, well, I mean, those of us who pay attention, right, and read between the lines and not just headline articles or, snippets from the propaganda outlets, the 24-hour networks like CBC or CTV and shit, right, is, yeah, if he reads that stuff, he can't say anything. Although I guess with his parliamentary privilege, but wouldn't that be if he used his parliamentary privilege to say something? Wouldn't that be? I mean, we're already seeing, right? The RCMP is basically, I guess, what's that, a message to Pierre Poilievre? You want to practice that parliamentary privilege to probably inform Canadians who's fucking around with our democracy? Oh, well, I don't know. That's, that could be something that we might have to really take seriously here. Might have to intervene, Wouldn't want to have to arrest the guy. Like, for what? For being the one person. Well, it's not like there's not precedent. We all, like I said, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden. It's not like there's no precedent for these fucking tyrannical actors in the West, in our countries, to go after the one in a gazillion person that would stand on principle and actually properly inform us in some way, right? Wouldn't be the first time, right? Who's to say he wouldn't get Epstein? I don't know, right? I don't know. But hey, nothing would surprise me at this point in time. Anyways, once again, I'm going to share this stuff all in the description of the live stream. And here, I won't even bring this one on the table or the stream here. So it's just another CBC article. Some MPs helping foreign actors like China and India meddle in Canadian politics report. So, I mean, it's right there. It's in your face. Yeah, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Hey, what are you going to do about it? Canada? I mean, look around, right? Oh, we might do some studying, but we can't tell anyone anything, right? We might do, put together a big group of fucking bureaucrats and idiots that are overpaid and underworked to pretend that they're doing something, only for them to come out with some fucking soundbite that says, yeah, well, some things might be happening. They might not. They could be, but maybe it's not. I don't know. And, but, I can't say nothing. No. due to the fact that we got to protect our privacy, but yet do they give a fuck about your privacy? That's the hilarious part. Boy, they really care about their own privacy, though, don't they? Right? But ours, no. They literally write bills, C11, C63, is it? Yeah, right. They write all kinds of laws to infringe on our fucking inherent and inalienable rights and freedoms. They're not privileges, folks. They're not gifts from government, but they don't mind invading on your privacy or other parts of the Health Act or stuff, or when they were tracking 33 million people, their cell phones, right, during COVID. Oh, they don't give a shit about your privacy, but they want to protect their privacy. And I guess you could use that excuse to them. Well, you get to hide. And man, oh man, those are the fuckers that really, once again, when they say you have nothing to hide, it's because they are the ones that have a tremendous amount to hide. But yeah, of course, that's what's taking place. And here's another thing. I'm not too familiar with what the hell this kind of shit. What are they trying to create their own CIA of the North? I don't know if it's going to turn out good or not, but let me just show you this. The top Mountie, he's also the same dude here, right? He's also keen on Ottawa's plan for a separate and distinct federal policing unit. Ottawa plans to split the RCMP's federal and contract policing responsibilities. Reported once again by Catherine Tunney, part of the establishment, June 22nd, 2024. So it's going to get the typical spin, right? Typical spin to lower your concerns, right? It's not that big of a deal, don't worry, right? Or maybe you should even like it, right? A looming shakeup in how the RCMP's federal policing wing tackles national security files can't come fast enough for the country's top Mountie. If I had a magic wand, I'd want to replace it tomorrow, Commissioner Mike Duham said in an interview airing soon on Rosemary Barton Live. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc recently wrote to his provincial counterpart, signaling Ottawa plans to make federal policing separate and distinct from the RCMP's boots-on-the-ground policing obligations in the provinces and territories. So once again, they want to create their own little CIA or FBI to the north here? No, I don't know. A government source with knowledge of the plans told CBC News that the separate federal policing institution will receive dedicated funding, resources, and members. Yeah, of course. Just more pigs at the trough, right? We want to dive a little bit deeper into federal policing and see how we can strengthen it. Yeah, strengthen. Right. Yeah, as if we need that. Yeah, right. Strengthen what? They're fucking useless as tits on a bowl as it is. It's not like the police protect us from crimes. They come along later, write a report, and then forget about it. Really, that's what it is. Their real job is to protect the ruling class. And this is just going to go along with just creating another layer of bureaucracy, another department, more government jobs that come at your expense, right? To further protect and entrench, the bigwig status among us, the elite ruling class. The change appears to be a response to mounting calls to reform the country's largest police service. The RCMP's federal policing side, which investigates foreign interference, terrorism, and other threats to national security, along with high-level organized crime and cybercrime, has been losing regular members over the last decade in order to fill vacancies in the contract policing section. Well, what it is, let me explain something about whether it's the police or the military, and it's not that hard, and they think that they can just fix this by, recruiting more evil, vile people. What it is good people no longer want to be in these positions, no longer want to be the mindless order followers. So what fills that vacuum, that void, are the ones that do, the ones who have no conscience, who will sell their soul in a minute for a fucking paycheck and a mighty fine one and a nice gold-plated pension, right? So once again, the growth of the state is not just the growth of the state. It's not even just that. It's the growth of the state that's functioning with the worst members of society dominating these institutions. This race to the bottom, folks, like I said so many times before, wait till we get there. I know it's been a fast pace and they've been ramping it up in recent years, but we're definitely not at the bottom yet. Not even close. Things can get a whole lot worse. But yes, they have been getting profusely worse, especially and particularly within the last couple of decades, right? Anyways, yeah, no point in. I think you get the gist of that, right? Yeah, create some more of these positions for some of the most vile people among us. Yeah, I guess it's just another one along the same lines, talking about the report claims certain parliamentarians colluded with foreign states. Yep. And what's this? This is out of True North. Let me just read a little bit of this. But of course, it's just goes along with the kind of insanity. Shout out to the folks at True North. Although I wish, that's the thing. I wish some of my Canadian counterparts that are in the alternative media, or even some of the big personalities in YouTube and stuff like your Godson, how about you reach out to a libertarian, a lowly libertarian to us, or I'll tell you what, I'll put my foot forward. I'll reach out to you folks and maybe just respond, right? Maybe share a little bit of the limelight for some people that have some real ideas, right? And some really, really important information, not just politics, to bring to the table, to bring to the forefront. It's kind of important, right? Kind of important. But anyways, once again, shout out to the fine folks at True North, because I do acknowledge that they are at least a counterbalance to a lot of these hacks in the stash media, who at least do try to expand that Overton window to a degree, or at least counter many of those in the establishment. I am very much appreciative of that, right? I'm not hating on them for that. I just think that there's a lot more that needs to be said and dealt with, right? And if you folks are the ones that want to be the ones to put information in the ears of Canadians, well, once again, I've got some great information, some great ideas, some really important stuff on offer, and maybe give me a chance sometime to go on your platform and say some things. Hey, you don't even have to say it. I'll take all the blame. I'll carry that burden. I'll put it on my shoulders. All I really need at the end of the day is a platform, right? Or a pulpit or something, or a stage, right? Anyways, yeah, so let me bring this on here. Yeah, share, present. Just a humble plea from a somewhat humble guy. Okay. So, so Parliament passes environmental racism law limiting where factories and landfills are built. This reported by Clayton Demain, True North Wire, June 22nd, 2024. The far left concept of environmental racism. Wow, right? What? Hey, George Orwell, here's a new one that you didn't never hear of, right? This is a new one. Environmental racism will soon become written into law in Canada, and companies that open factories or establish landfills near racialized communities could be accused of racism. Well, I mean, that's the crazy part, is places are zoned for either commercial or real estate or industrial or I mean, like residential and stuff. I mean, hell, anyone that's even played what's that game, Sim City, would know this shit, right? So it's like, well, if you're going to put landfills, maybe you don't put it near residential zones anyways, right? Where any people live. You put that usually somewhere that's not close to residential. Makes sense to me. But then again, we are talking about government at the end of the day. So common sense, government, yeah, those are like opposing forces, right? A bill championed by the Green Party, which labels which labels environmental hazards near Indigenous or other marginalized communities as environmental racism, received royal assent Thursday, passing the final step a bill takes before becoming law. So is that how Elizabeth May come out and kind of like put a little defense there? Was she read that report, remember? She kind of put a full-throated defense of the Trudeau Liberals, and hey, there's nothing to see here. No, I don't see any collusion or foreign interference, right? I scratch your back, you scratch mine, perhaps. A little bit conspiratorial thinking going on here. Shame on me, right? Bill C-226, an act respecting the development of a national strategy to assess, prevent, and address environmental racism and to advance environmental justice, was first read in the House of Commons more than 2 years ago and would now become law. Environmental racism is what policymakers believe happens when polluting industries operate in communities of predominantly racialized or marginalized people. The argument follows that pollution disproportionately affects these groups. Like, that's the thing. Is it in the middle? Does the wind ever blow in different directions? Right? It's like, once again, it's just fucking. And once again, just don't put shit like that near any residential. Problem solved, or it should be. Once again, but that would be a market solution. We're talking about government after all. So yeah, my bad. Sorry, my bad. Today marks a historic victory in our journey towards environmental justice, Green Party leader Elizabeth May said. The passage of Bill C-226 represents a commitment to addressing the long-standing and deeply entrenched issue of environmental racism in Canada. But yeah, that's about enough of that nonsense that I can read. Just absolute nonsense. Anyways, I'm going to balance things out. I'm going to get back in the chat and read some of your folks, a few more of your chats there. And actually, I think I'll probably tie this live stream up. I like I say, I think I vented lots of stuff, and I will actually. I've been trying this thing too. I'm going to do some clipping, right? Because StreamYard now allows me to, after the live stream is done, I can go back up, and it actually creates its own clips. So it must use like AI of some fashion, breaks it down into some clips. Because it's a lot of work, and I like I say, I don't get paid a dime for anything, nor I don't ask for donations or anything like that anymore. So I put in a lot of work, spent a lot, I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours over the last decade and a half or so, or somewhere around there. And yeah, I just, like I say, I minimize as much of what I do that keeps me away from my personal life and my family and stuff like that. But once again, I still do as much as I can. I try to do as much as I can in the allotted time. Like, you'd be surprised what I can get done in an hour and a half in terms of getting ideas and stuff like that out there. So I'm definitely, like I say, I still punch above my weight in terms of trying to, inform, educate, and enlighten my fellow Canadians and anyone else who's willing to listen. But yeah, it's nice to see that you can actually do some of these things, and maybe some people will start watching them, because I get it. People like smaller snippets, they like smaller segments, because I get it. We all have busy lives. It is a reality. It is what it is. There's not much you can do about it. But anyways, I'm just going to read some more of your comments there, folks. Okay, where are we at here? Scroll back up. There we go. I lost some friends, but were they ever? I feel zero loss. Man, that was a little difficult for me, GTO mom, at first, because like shit. But you're right. Actually, at this point in time, I feel like it's actually lightened the burden on me, to be honest with you. Because yeah, if the people don't respect me for my individuality and the things, like I say, I think I talk pretty reasonable about things. I think my stances that I take on most things are pretty common sense, pretty reasonable, and pretty well grounded in morals and ethics and stuff. And if people got a problem with that, right, even if it's how I present my information, and you're willing to walk away from me, or even worse, do so because someone told you to, right? Some stranger that you don't even know who the fuck they are, some tyrant told you to dislike me in some way. Well, yeah, I'm with GTO mama here. Well, bye bye. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, I guess, as they say, right? But yeah, I hear you, GTO mama. I just heard about Rhonda today, the day after Thomas spoke against Pfizer. Another coincidence, I'm sure. Wow. I didn't hear about the whole the Pfizer thing, but yeah, it's very sad, like you say. Hey, David, what's going on, my friend? Nice to see you in the chat too, buddy. Thank you very much. Hey, Bennett, and all, good message. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching the stream. And that's another thing I get. People have their busy days, so I know not everyone will get a chance to watch this right away, and hopefully some more people will get a chance to watch this later. But I really, really, as per usual, I really genuinely appreciate you folks that do take the time of your day, because I know time is not just money, but it's time spent with me is time away from what you would like to do too. So trust me when I say I very much appreciate you folks taking the time on your day to listen to me sometimes ramble on. But once again, as you know, I'm like Stefan Mulnoon that way. It's reciprocal. I hope that I'm giving you something that's worthy, right? That helps maybe improve you in some way, or maybe helps get you thinking about things more critically, or helps you to better yourself. Because that's another thing that I'm always constantly trying to improve myself, and I recognize that I am a work in progress myself, and it's great to have other people on that journey with me. We're all doing our thing, and we can all get to that place if we ever get to that final destination, and it'll be at our own pace. But I'm just, like I say, I'm just always forever grateful for you folks that you do take the time, and there's some of you and a lot of you folks in the chat that have been doing it for years and years and years. And I genuinely consider you people friends. And I just can't help but think there would be such great times that if we were even in the same room together, how like I would feel such an automatic connection with you folks. And maybe someday, who's never say never, maybe that day will happen and I'll get to meet some of you people in person, and maybe I'll break out of my shell a little bit more than I already have, and go on some public tour speaking events. Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Like I said, never say never. Hey, I told my son all those years ago that I was very camera shy. I didn't even like to have my picture taken. I'm sure you folks remember me saying this, or the folks that have been watching me for a long time. But it was my son that said, "Well, Dad, what do you always tell us, right? Rise to the occasion, get over it." And I was like, God damn it, he's right. And if I'm going to lead by example, right, and walk the walk and not just talk the talk, I got to do it. And that's what I did. And I look back at some of my earlier streams. I did somewhat okay in terms of the kind of things in the stances I took, but oh yeah, I was very, 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 very much a noob. So once again, I've grown, I've developed a lot. I became even quite comfortable in some ways of doing these things and having, whether it was thousands of people watching it or 10 people watching it. So I can't say the day will never come where I'm not out doing public speaking events. Of course, it would mean that I need to be invited in some way, but I definitely one of those people would rise to the occasion. So I think really with it's just the lack of opportunity for me for the most part. At protests, the one thing that you won't see me is doing a whole lot of protesting. I find that I've been to a couple of them in the past, and even with my oldest son, we went to some in Toronto when we lived there. And I don't know. It just protests, depending on the one. Maybe I just haven't been to the right kind of ones, but it seemed almost like very culty and very like people chant. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the protesting. I'd rather say what I've got to say, like I say, in person and have the ability to say what I want to say, not just do some weird chants and stuff or yelling or. Anyways, let me just move on. But thanks, David. Thanks, really appreciate that. Okay, wait now. Where are we at here? Okay. Witchy McTwitchy. yeah. That's Krista Freeland. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Witchy Twitchy. Yeah. Oh, you have one of those too? We have one of those here in Houston named Lena Hidalgo. This seems like that's another thing, folks. Actually, before I tie this up, don't you find it weird that a lot of the same things are happening? If it's happening in Canada, a lot of times you'll be like, it's happening in the UK, it's happening in the US, and a lot of the Five Eyes countries, quinky dinky or not, or the Anglosphere as they call it. But it's so strange. There's so many times where like something is taking place, and the media is promoting or the kind of propaganda they're putting out there is like, shit, they're doing the exact same thing. Or like in Ireland, like which is part of Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Then there's the Republic. But it's just so strange that you see the same kinds of thing being basically copy and paste and replicated, duplicated all over what's considered the Western world these days. It's a little strange. Once again, that's me putting my little conspiratorial hat on there. Let me get my tinfoil, but no, but it's just legit, man. I mean, you can't. It's reality, right? It's reality. I see it. You see it, right? It can't be unseen. Like they're never going to convince me that I didn't see it. So hey, whatever. Oh, sociopath, psychopath. Yeah, actually, yeah, I get that there is a distinct difference on that. Imagine that. But I get that there is actually, obviously defined meanings. The reason why they're two different words is there's two different things. But either way, some people that are, less than ideal human beings. Let's use that one, and could be, especially in democracies where they have the power of numbers, or even when the numbers don't have to skew that big, but can be even in the minority in our first past the post system, and can be the rulers, right? And the sophists and the propagandists. Yeah, these people can be a grave threat, right? No matter what kind of numbers or what label we place on them, right? Yeah, actually, John 23Z, you know what? I think, thanks for bringing that up, John 23Z, because it's been a long time. And of course, I bring nuance to it, folks. So, it's not, I don't want to go on an anti-immigrant tirade kind of thing, but yeah, mass immigration And this great replacement thing, it's been a while, although I did do one actually, I guess it wasn't too long ago, but I might revisit that story again because that is something too that I know a lot of people, really need to learn about this kind of stuff and stop fucking every time someone brings this stuff up, stop trying to label us as racist and stuff, right? Rather than taking the time out of your life to label us racist or Islamophobe or this phobe, how about you just fucking take the time to learn some shit, right? Learn some shit, and you'll probably come to draw the same conclusion if you're at least somewhat of a reasonable human being that the rest of us are, which is yeah, there's some fucking nefarious, crazy shit taking place. And yes, I've even said too, in small numbers, right? People that come from countries that have way fucking crazier ideas or are loathsome to have freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, or freedom of association, come from tyrannical states, some of them may have tried to escape that. Some of them may just want economic opportunity. Maybe they're just opportunists, right? Because you can't say there's a one size fits all for all these people that are coming to our countries, right? Lots of different people come for lots of different reasons, no doubt about it. But in small numbers, a lot of them will just integrate, even if they do it begrudgingly, right? Because they're like, oh, I'm massively outnumbered. But if you get to the point where that balance shifts, right? Where now they're no longer in the minority or have, a sizable portion of them that can be a real direct threat. Well, that's the time that you will find out that shit, they are actually quite in group like everyone else that's being accused of being in group, right? So yes, we got to be wise and wary about that stuff and not allow anyone to try to control you in such a way to make you feel guilty or ashamed for speaking truth to this kind of shit that they're doing. Yeah. Stand up, speak out, be like John 223Z. I just say, like I say, though, try to be nuanced. Because if you're not trying to be nuanced and try to help educate and inform and enlighten people, then you are giving them fodder to just call you names, right? And your shield against that is to bring nuance to the table, right? Yeah. Yeah. Degrees indicate your ability to memorize. You never question what they're exactly. And I mean, once again, you folks have heard me say I've got many people in my own family, and I'm glad that they're really good at memorizing and are decent and skilled in certain areas, in certain regards. Massive appreciation for division of labor and the things that it brings to us. But once again, these are not the kind of people that you need to pop up, right? Or make out as exceptional in ways that they're not. That's a big deal. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, GTO. Polyev is a Zionist who says things like hate camps and Hamas supporters when it comes to student protesting. I know. Well, that's the thing. He could be, or we all know these politicians these days, you could very well be right at that. Or is he just looking at how the polling, which way the polling is? Oh, well, I could get more popular if I take the Zionist position or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, how the hell? Like, I don't know. I'm not part of the strategist team. I'm not in his head. So I can't say I know that for certain. But I, a lot of times, would just acknowledge that, especially for a politician like Pierre Poilievre and want to, be the next prime, could just be opportunism, right? Seeing that that'll garner him a bunch of votes in some way, or at least for certain areas. In other ways, so I don't know. You could be right, but I can't say one way or the other. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he is transparent. You can see right through him. Ain't that the truth? Yeah. Spin and spend. Spin and spend. Well said. CNN has an actual spin room, admittedly. Yeah, I know, right? And it's so funny. I see people like bending over backwards to give CNN some kudos and applause by sheer fact that they didn't, interject too much during the debate, right? It's like, okay, but do you think maybe are they doing it because they want to be good, or do you think maybe they are doing it because they want to get their audience back up, right? They want to get that revenue, they want to get those views, they want to lure people in. I don't know. Once again, I don't know, but I just know based on their past, these people seem to have lacked fucking souls and morality, and it seems like they just go with the wind. So I don't know. Maybe once again, broken clock can be right twice a day. So maybe, I mean, but it's going to take a lot to prove that for me. Yeah. Just reeks of, yeah. I'm with you there, Dave. When men flee war, they bring their families. Men going to war don't. Yeah. Well, that's a good point, GTO Mama. That's a good point. But anyways, like I said, thanks to all you folks. I think I'm going to tie the stream up now. Like I said, I think I kind of hammered away, and you guys, it seems like you got out some great stuff yourself. So I think we've all done some decent amount of venting today, right? And once again, it's a good time, anyways, just to get back and maybe take a little bit of time to forget about this shit, at least for a small time, right? Because we got to take care of ourselves first and foremost, and those we care about. So yeah, just get out there and maybe enjoy some of your weekend, enjoy some of your time, and with your family and friends and your loved ones, and just keep in mind that never get into my thing. Last thing I'll say to tie this one up with a bow is never let yourself get disheartened, disillusioned either, but don't allow yourself to get disheartened to the point where you're black pilled in any way. What's the worst thing can happen if you stay positive? Well, you got to live your life living in a positive manner, which is much, much better because you're the one that's got to live in your head, nobody else, right? So thanks to all you folks that joined the live stream. Really appreciate that. And thank you. Great show. Thanks, GTO Mama. Really appreciate that as well. Have yourself a great time for the rest of your weekend. I'll see you the next live stream. This is the Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.